Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome. I'm glad you could join us. We're going to go ahead and get started today in talking about direct mail and some of the secrets of direct mail that have come in helpful for the tour and travel industry. I want to start by taking a look at the anatomy of direct mail. There are some wonderful, wonderful items and wonderful insight available for travel industry suppliers and for those who are thinking about using direct mail as it is. Okay, let's try this again. The first thing I'd like to share with you, of course, is a little bit of an insight on the anatomy of direct mail itself. In the piece that I sent and posted earlier, you'll notice that direct mail allows our supplier messages to be targeted, tangible, which I think is probably one of the most important elements. To actually have something tactile and in the hands of potential buyers makes a significant difference. These are geared toward millennials, believe it or not. We often think of millennials as being the leading source of digital recipients and looking for more and more digital content. However, that classic old school tactile feel has really struck a chord with them. We know that 69% of people prefer direct mail as a channel of business communications. In fact, they are read far more frequently and with far more interest than email or web-based messages. We also know that the brand recall from direct mail tends to be one of the highest. In fact, 44% of those surveyed named direct mail as their preferred way to learn about brands from the past 30 days. And nearly 75% of direct mail recipients can identify the brands that they have received direct mail from. So that's a really important number. We also know that roughly 48% of consumers keep direct mail promotional items for future reference. If the same holds true for the trade, that's roughly half of all trade recipients that are holding on to messages that they receive via direct mail. 33% of consumers expect to receive information via direct mail from companies that are looking to target their business. Direct mail, of course, can deliver QR codes. I myself am not a particular fan of QR codes. I generally don't use them. I don't know many people that do use them. I hear that they're popular, and I'll leave it to you to know if they're popular or not from your organization. We also know that for organizations that rely upon donations, that direct mail tends to be a great driver for donations. Roughly 21% of donors have noted that donations come as a direct result of the mail, or that the direct mail is a motivating factor for their recent gifts. And last but not least, direct mail can tie into other promotions, particularly website promotions. We know now that the recipients of direct mail are visiting the websites of the companies that are sending them messages. We can have dedicated sites, dedicated landing pages for that information, and these recipients are 10% more likely to respond to direct mail than to email. So if we really want to increase our click-through rates, maybe it's not clicking through the email, maybe it's clicking through the mailing that we need to take a look at. So that is the general anatomy of direct mail. The piece about that is available as an outline for you. Just another little insight for those of you who are just joining us. Firestarter Brands, we are a marketing company. We do work specifically with the tour and travel industry. Our own network includes roughly 5,000 tour operators who are looking for things to do and places to go. And we are helping travel industry suppliers connect with them through direct mail, digital, and of course, face-to-face opportunities, in addition to our work to teach travel industry suppliers what they can do to better engage, excite, and ignite interest from the trade. So, with that understanding in place, I want to talk with you a little bit about why you might want to choose direct mail. Direct mail averages a 3.7% response rate with what's called an in-house list. What's really unique, I think, to our travel industry is that your in-house list could very easily be much larger than it currently is. And you can leverage lists from trade partners, organizations like Firestarter brands, so that your list appears as in-house even if it is not. The average response rate for a list that is not in-house is only 1%. So there are only so many travel industry buyers in the industry that you can very, very easily consider almost all of those potential tour and travel contacts as in-house. We also know that oversized mailers, things like postcards and large envelopes, have some of the best open rates possible and best response rates possible. In fact, postcards average a 4.25% response rate. That's huge. Traditional direct mail thinking was that your response rate was around 2%. So that's more than double the traditional understanding. And I think the format has a lot to do with it. What we have found is that the cost per acquisition for direct mail is actually very, very competitive. Direct mail costs about $19 per acquisition, which fares favorably with both the mobile and social media, which come in around $16 to $18. Your paid search is going to be $21 to $30 per acquisition. Internet display ads are probably going to be around $41 to $50 per acquisition. And even email is going to cost you money. You're still looking at $11 to $15 per acquisition. So with a $19 per acquisition cost for direct mail, you're still faring very, very well. You also want to take a look at the direct mail response rates, which outperform digital channels by a long shot. Direct mail achieves a 3.7% open rate, as I mentioned, with house lists, a 1% open rate with prospect lists. All digital channels combined only receive a 0.62 response rate. That's mobile, email for a prospect list, for a house or total list, social media, paid search, and display advertising. Telephone, of course, still has the highest response rates at 9 to 10%. So very close second to telephone would be your traditional direct mail. And as I mentioned, formats do play an incredible role in the success of direct mail campaigns. According to recent studies by the Direct Mail Association, oversized envelopes have the best response rate at 5%, followed by postcards at 4.25%, dimensional at 4%, and catalogs at 3.9%. And your traditional letter-sized envelopes are still only getting about 3.5%. So there are some great, great, great opportunities to get lots and lots of eyes opening up and taking a look at the material you provide. One of the things that I tell people all the time with regards to postcards in particular, when you receive a postcard, before you decide if you want to keep it or throw it away, you've already read the message. And that leads to some of the best response rates that are available in the industry. Direct mail produces roughly the same ROI as social media. What we also know about social media is that tour operators don't use it to find new product. In fact, I'm pulling up on my screen social media question that we just asked tour operators in a survey that is still underway. And tour operators report that they are, they are less likely to find new supplier information on social media like Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, Twitter, etc. In fact, it's down around the 30% less likely. So, 70% less likely to find operators in that method. They still find that personal visits to their office, third-party referrals, and postcard mailings are among the top 5 sources for them to receive information. So that comes directly from the horse's mouths and directly from the tour operators. The next thing I'd like to share with you is some information about the 7-step checklist that we've put together to help travel industry suppliers really not miss out on any opportunities when it comes to putting together their direct mail. We did post on our website earlier today blog that contains more of this information. In fact, I will share that with all of the participants in just a little bit. But the 7-point checklist, I'm going to run through this with you. We need to clearly define the goals that the campaign is determined to accomplish. And the questions that we're asking ourselves are, what is this direct mail campaign going to do? Is it going to be building awareness for the product? Are we just simply announcing that there's new things to do and activities to participate in? Are you sending an invitation? Are we looking to get people to respond to an invitation for a specific event? Are you looking to sell more to your existing customers? That's one of the 3 ways to get more businesses, to sell more to existing customers. So you have to keep in mind that that could be one of your potential goals. Is this a piece to prompt existing customers to renew their services? In the tour and travel market, that may be getting your customers from last season to book again for this following season. And lastly, are you looking to acquire new customers? That's going to be the toughest group to convince, but you can use your direct mail piece to do that. The second piece on your checklist should be your budget. I know we hate talking about budgets and we hate talking about the constraints and limitations that they may present, but it's important to know, how much do you plan on spending? How will your piece be timed, and what frequency will you use to improve the saturation? The Direct Mail Association also recently published a survey that showed that the second piece in a mailing campaign was more than twice as effective as the first. The speculation and the theory behind that is that your first piece of mail, an operator or that a prospect is going to see, is going to simply announce your product and tell them about what you have to offer. If they've never heard of you before, it's a familiarization piece. The second time they get a piece from you could be a very, very similar piece. But the second time, they already have some sort of an understanding of what your organization is, what the product is that you're providing. So that second time, you can really connect with them by sending them some compelling call to action information that will drive more attention and does drive a better response rate. With regards to how you might time your piece, there is some great information that we just received from tour operators in our survey. What we have found is that 56% of all tour operator contacts, and this is across all channels, FIT, wholesale, retail tour operators, group, meeting, incentive, receptive, 56% of operators that have responded to us have said that they're constantly working on new product. So what that means to us is that there's no bad time to send information to them. We also know that roughly 21% of operators have said that July through September is the best time to get a message for them. And those are for operators that are working on a traditional calendar year, where they do publish a calendar or a catalog, if you will, for next year's activities. So you don't want to miss out on that July to September opportunity. You also want to be able to take advantage of the operators' seasons year-round. And what we have identified as the 4 seasons for operators are when they are looking for new product, which 21% of operators say that that is July through September. When they're selling to their customers, which would fall in the traditional October to December or Q4. When they are planning the activities that they're going to take with their travelers in the coming months, that's your January to March, and of course when they're traveling, particularly in student industries or leisure markets. That April through June period is critical for operators putting together some last-minute arrangements. And when we say that we have these 4 different seasons for tour operators and why it's important to put messages in their hands during each of those seasons, each of them represents an opportunity for an operator to book or to include new product. If it's the season in which they are identifying the product for next year, of course you can be built into itineraries. If they're selling to their customers, it may just be that last tipping point that they need in order to compel a visitor to include your product. Maybe your product could be something that they could use or could highlight or add value to itineraries that they're putting together but haven't yet been able to close. When they are looking to book new activities, what we have found is that not everybody and not every attraction or supplier is available and is ready to accommodate the operator business. So the operators are always looking for more options during that booking season. and of course when they're on the road. Things happen all the time that require operators to act quickly to find alternatives, and to be at the top of mind when that is happening is an important position to be in. We also know that many operators do travel with their groups. So while the groups are taking in an attraction or an activity, maybe a meal or getting settled into the hotel, oftentimes the operators are skipping around and checking out the other activities that are in the area that they're considering for future visits. So there are those 4 different seasons for operators. Again, 56% of operators say that they're constantly working on new product. 21% report that July through September is the best time to get that information. And the remainder of operators are looking for information when they are selling to their customers, planning activities, traveling with their guests, and of course, looking at itineraries for the coming year. Now we have a few more pieces to review. Picking the best format. This is the number 3 on our checklist. We know that postcards tend to be the most successful. They're great for quick reading audiences, special announcements, and highlighting features or benefits that appeal to the buyers. Traditional letters tend to appeal best to the B2B buyer in industries such as accounting, information technology, and other services which tend to remain behind the scenes. For the majority of our travel industry suppliers, this wouldn't necessarily be the best format for you. We also know that self-mailers, things like newsletters or catalogs, can be successful because you can highlight multiple offerings. In fact, a lot of tour operators rely on the catalog-style mailing to send their information out to their consumers. We've actually seen some operators do some great catalog-style mailings, but incorporate them into calendars or other similar self-mailing pieces. What industries that works well for with regards to travel suppliers might be specifically our DMOs, because DMOs, you can highlight seasonal activities using a calendar format. You could highlight multiple itineraries, multiple packages, multiple tour products, themes through something like a catalog or newsletter style. If you are going to go the route of newsletter style, make sure that you have it in your plans to execute repeatedly throughout the year. Nothing is worse than getting a monthly catalog that only comes out once every 4 months or once in a while when the travel industry supplier gets around to it. Another piece that is critical in our checklist is using the right list. What we have found is that in-house lists tend to get a 3.7% response rate compared to prospecting lists, which get just a 1% response rate. Because the travel industry is particularly unique, there are only going to be so many qualified tour and travel contacts. It is possible to partner with other organizations, organizations like Firestarter Brands, your local DMO, other neighboring attractions or suppliers, to expand the quantity or quality of buyers that are on your in-house list. You want to make sure that the mailing list is in line with your marketing objectives and the recipients meet the criteria for being great prospects. If you are going to be reaching out beyond your own list, or you're going to be using your own list but really want to target, make sure you have filter and sort criteria in place. The common tour and travel filter criteria that we use here at Firestarter Brands, and we have found most effective when helping our partners connect with tour operators and high volume travel planners, are some of the following. Top destinations. Every tour operator in our network has provided us with information on their top destinations by country, state, or province around the world throughout North America. We ask operators for the areas of consumer origin. So we can actually identify tour operators that bring visitors in from Brazil. We can maybe send them a special mailing in Portuguese, or we could do the same with China, Japan, Central South America, the US, Canada. We can divide that up many, many ways. It's important to also know how the operators are selling product. If you are promoting a group-specific product and you're sending your mailing out to operators who only offer FIT, that's going to be a waste of your time, energy, effort, and money. So in that filter criteria, you want to know who's handling groups, who's handling FITs. It's also helpful to know where the operators keep their primary offices. This particularly applies to tour operators that handle the on-the-road travel, less than the international travel. An example being that there's a wonderful motor coach company in upstate New York that does weekly runs to New York City. Obviously, their primary location is in upstate New York. Their motor coaches are all based there. They're generally traveling within a 600-mile radius of their office. You're not going to find that tour operator doing a lot of trips to California. So between knowing where the customers are coming from, how the operator is selling the product, and of course where they're located, we can identify them as a top prospect for a company that is in the Northeast that does have a group-friendly product, but they may not be the same great prospect for a company based in Washington State or Vancouver, or even overseas in the UK or Ireland or Japan, simply because they don't travel internationally very often. It's important to also take note of membership affiliations. We have found that, I believe it's roughly 10% of members of organizations like ABA or CITA tend to be the travel planners. The rest are industry suppliers. If you are a member of those organizations, great. Do the best that you possibly can to cultivate their membership list, to connect with those buyers that are in the high volume category, that are offering wonderful, wonderful product, and can help you sell more and more going forward. It's also to look to find operators that are not members of those associations, but also function in a similar marketplace. For example, our network includes operators that are members of the Ontario Motor Coach, Quebec Motor Coach, that's actually APAC, the Receptive Services Associations, which is now the IITA, International Inbound Tour Association, I believe it is, NTA, ABA, CITA, many of the state organizations, and of course a lot that are completely unaffiliated. Beyond that, we have our international affiliates, folks that have participated in the World Travel Market, the shows in Germany, Japan, China, Brazil, Central South America, Australia, you name it. We have these buyers in our database. So when you're looking to partner with somebody whose list is stronger than yours, consider looking at partners who have affiliations, membership, or connections with those buyers who are in organizations that you may not attend and you may not connect with on a regular basis. You also want to be able to look at the types of customers that are served by these particular operators. So when we talk about using the right list, if you have, for example, a historic homes tour that focuses on gardens, classic furniture, maybe you have a tea party type function, I would love that as a student, but it may not appeal to the vast majority of 7th grade students on a senior trip. That may be more of your adult market or senior leisure market type activity. The same goes for amusement parks, attractions, and roller coasters. Again, that may appeal more toward the student market than it does to the adult market. So you need to be able to filter and sort your lists based on what the buyer's interests are, what types of customers they're working with, how they're selling their product, where they're located, where their customers are coming from, and a number of other criteria, so that you can come up with the right lists. Now, the next item on our checklist is, of course, to use relevant and attractive content. The first point that I make on here is ensure that photos or images feature people having fun in comfortable clothing. I feel like I need to add comfortable clothing because it is such a turnoff to see a postcard of visitors at an attraction wearing winter coats when it's July. It just makes my skin crawl. The reality of it is people want to envision themselves in the pictures that you're sending out to them. They want to see themselves as comfortable, laughing, smiling, having a good time, and able to see the items that are around them. Photos that are used in these promotional pieces, and we have a whole piece on suggested photos and and items that you are welcome to look up on our blog. But these photos should be colorful, they should be bright, they should be airy. People generally speaking do not like confined spaces. People generally speaking do not like dark spaces, even if you're a haunted house. They want to recognize that they are going to be able to have a comfortable experience regardless. You want to make sure that your text is legible and concise. I generally recommend no more than a headline or an eye-capturing announcement on the front side of a postcard, and the back side should be limited to bullet points, 5 to 6 bullet points, along with your contact information, your call to action. Much more than that, and you're sending a small version of a catalog or newspaper, it's just too much reading. You figure you've got about 5 seconds or so. That's 5, this is 10. So you got about 5 seconds or so that the buyer is going to have a postcard, per se, in their hand to decide what they're going to do with it. And you want as much of your message to get through to them, through their eyes and into their brains as possible in that 5 seconds. Also, don't use confusing fonts. Simple block fonts, Arials, Helvetica, Trebuchet, those are the fonts that tend to work best, simply because they are easy to read. Too much script, it's complicated. It takes just a slight bit longer, and you lose a slight bit of the buyer's attention when you do use those fonts. The other piece of that relevant and attractive content is to present the features and benefits in terms that are relevant to the buyer. It's one thing to talk about the features of an attraction, for example. An attraction may have the world's best collection of Warhol. Well, that's great. Congratulations. That is what you have. But what does that mean to the consumer? As a consumer, I can come in and I can be immersed in the experience that has become Warhol's art. I can learn about pop culture, pop art, perhaps some of the inspiration behind, maybe even participate in some of the activities that the attraction produces to really better understand, appreciate, and recognize art as it would have appeared to Warhol or through Warhol. So you want to really focus not so much on the features of your product, but on the benefits that they will have for the end consumer and for the operator. We are in the business of selling experiences, not necessarily hotel beds, destinations, tickets. We really are selling experiences. So you need to focus on what the experience is going to be like for the consumer. Now, I have also noted in here that we need to present a compelling offer and a clear call to action. What we know is that the call to action should capture the attention of the target audience. Some great call to action and trackable items might be to include unique identifiers. It's easy to track responses and measure direct marketing success when you include items like QR codes. Again, I don't use them, but many people do. The codes act as a bridge directly between the recipient and the digital content that you provide online. They allow you to track the engagement, the numbers of clicks or views. So that's a really important tool. Your direct mail piece may also include a unique URL. So instead of being firestarterbrands.com, it might be firestarterbrands.com/ direct mail. With that, again, you can track the number of click-throughs directly to that page, which allow you to measure the response from your mailing. You're not going to get 100% because some people are going to, of course, look you up on Google or use your standard main URL listing, but that is a way for you to track the response rates. We also see many of our clients using coupons or discount codes. When people redeem coupons, of course, you want to make sure that they do have a unique code and that they are used in conjunction with particular mail campaigns. What we have seen many industry suppliers do is call now to receive one extra comp per X number of visitors, or call now for the 2016 rates through the 2017 year, call now to get a complimentary gift with purchase, complimentary tour with admission, a gift card, if you will, with your overnight stay. So there are plenty of ways to do this, and those coupons allow you to track the specific numbers of visitors and guests and bookings that are influenced by that. We have also seen phone calls be used as the call to action source. Just like the URLs, just like the coupons, just like the QR codes, the phone numbers can allow you to identify the number of responses to your message. What we also can find now online is that there are a number of services where you can purchase a unique phone number. It'll route to the same number that you use day in and day out. However, you can get a report at the end of a period of time that tells you how many calls were directed specifically to that number as opposed to your main line. Because we do work in such a limited industry, you are going to get people that have your main number on file in their systems. They're going to call it anyway. But for finding new contacts, I think that's a great way to utilize technology in a smart way that allows you to track the response of your mailings. We've also seen some clients use text messaging as a way to gather response. So you might see on a postcard, we've seen this with walking tour companies, with organizations that have apps that are free to download. Text such and such a number to get the free app, or to get your code, or to check availability. And again, you can track all of that sort of response. So it is very, very, very easy to track the response to your mailings. One of the things that we do, and we encourage all of our clients to do, is to make sure that the systems are in place on your end, that no matter whether you're working with us or you're working with somebody else, that you are going to be able to measure the response on your own. We consider ourselves a service provider. We print, we mail, we'll give you advice on what to do. Everything else is up to you. The content's up to you, the offer is up to you, keeping track of it is up to you. And I want you to be happy, so these are some things that we are telling you to do so you'll be happy with our services and, of course, with your own direct mail programs moving forward. The other piece that I want to just touch base with you on is picking the right print partner. Firestarter Brands, we developed a great working relationship with the folks at Blue Dog Media. I've been working with them for close to 10 or 15 years now. One of the things that I love about working with those guys, and Adam doesn't even know that I'm talking about him right now, so if you do work with Adam as well, be sure to mention that I said hello. One of the things that I love about working with Adam is Adam has a great understanding of the different types of mail pieces, which producers and which printers specialize in each different type of piece. We've got a great working relationship with our mail house and the mail services. So when we decide to print something, I can simply send a file to Adam. I know that not only is the equipment in place to produce it, the storage, addressing, and mailing services are all lined up, and I don't have to worry about postal indicia. It's already included, and it's already set and in place and ready to go. I don't have to fill out any forms to get that done. So if you are working with your own independent print partner, make sure that you are looking for those types of things. Do they have multiple different types of equipment, storage, addressing services, mailing services, and of course the indicia. If you do work with Adam, one of the great things about him is that he does have local resources around the country and throughout North America. So we've actually used the same services, the same point of contact for my mailings to Canada as I do for my mailings throughout the U.S. and into Europe. So that's been very, very, very helpful. Now, the last thing that I want to talk to you about, and I'm just going to run through this quickly because we are going to be running out of time, are some of the common mistakes that people make with direct mail. The most common mistake that people make is not qualifying their list. If you don't have a list, find somebody who does, and learn what you can do, ask what you can do to make sure that list is as targeted as possible to reach your target markets. The second most common mistake is not testing. If you are not using those codes properly, the phone numbers, the incentives, the tracking, the call to action items, if you're not using those properly, you're not going to get a true response rate. You're not going to get real results. And you'll either be disappointed with the results and quit your efforts early, or you might be overwhelmed by the results, but they really aren't paying off because you're simply taking revenue that was coming from another channel and not generating new. If you are going to send a mailing package out to people, be sure to include a letter in it. Don't just send somebody a Christmas ornament with no context. Make sure you provide them with context. We talked already about the features versus the benefits. Focus on benefits. Features are great, but features do not engage consumers. It is the experience that they're going to have that will really sell the tickets. Make sure you have an offer of some sort. That offer should be some sort of value. We recommend that the value be something that will be felt by the consumer, something that is felt by the company that's going to be actually writing the check, and something that could be felt by the person who is making that individual booking. Your copy, if it's going to be superficial copy, forget it. Be concise. Use information that is relevant. Don't save the best for last. What we have found is that if you put your best feature and benefit at the very end of the text that you make available in a mailing, it's already wasted. You've got only 5 seconds. Use that as one of your headlines. Let's see here. Poor follow-up. Don't fail on follow-up. If you are going to have people call you, be sure to call them back. If you're going to provide a unique URL, make sure that that URL lands on information that is relevant to these buyers, that again, collects their information so that you can call them back, that you can capture that lead, and that you can, of course, close a sale. And the magic words. The mistake is not using the magic words that can dramatically increase the response to your mailing. Advertisers operating under the mistaken notion that the mission of the copywriter is to be creative, avoid magic words of direct mail. Things like free. Say free brochure. Say you're going to get a free scavenger hunt with your mailing. No obligation. It's important if you're offering something that people are generally hesitant to because they feel like they're going to be sold. Make sure you let them know there's no obligation, that no salesperson is going to call them. You are simply a consultant. You are offering to help. The details inside or see inside. If you're ever going to use teaser copy, you have to make sure that you do use that. Limited time only. Everybody gets burned on this at least once in a lifetime. And making an announcement. You have to make sure that you have the new or the announcement highlighted as an announcement. Your prospects are not mind readers. You have to start with your prospect and not the product. Think about what the buyer needs, and be sure to appeal to as many senses as you can with your mailing. You want to make sure that that is tactile, that is emotional, that is visual, if they can taste it. If you want to send a cookie to somebody, they really work. I love sending cookies out. So there's a lot of opportunity here with direct mail that I think we've covered in this conversation. If you have more questions, feel free to give our team a call. You may reach us at 646-736-1305, or you can visit us online at firestarterbrands.com, where we are available to work with you and your team in helping you identify the best markets to reach out to, and the best techniques, tactics, strategies, plans, trade representation, you name it. It's all available on our website at firestarterbrands.com. Thank you for joining us, and enjoy your afternoon.